सारे बाधाओं को दूर करके निर्माण की गति लाया गया है। और आज हाईवे के निर्माण की जो गति है 28 से लेकर के 37 किलोमीटर प्रतिदिन की गति से हाईवे और रोड बन रहे हैं। महोदय, देश की रक्षा हमारे सेना के जवान करते हैं। हम सेना को सलूट करते हैं। हमारी सरकार की प्राथमिकता में सेना के जवान हैं। यदि गांव का किसान हमारी प्राथमिकता में है तो सरहद पर जो चौकी पर बैठा हुआ जवान है वह भी हमारी प्राथमिकता में है। हमारी सरकार जो पूर्व सैनिक अंशदायी स्वास्थ्य योजना है और आत्मनिर्भर भारत के तहत पहले क्या होता था, इनके शासन में सेना में गोला बारूद की कमी थी, पनडुब्बी जहाजों की कमी थी, पोतों पर जहाज नहीं थे, 10 दिन का सिर्फ गोला बचा था। ये हम नहीं कहते, मोदी जी की सरकार नहीं कहती, कैग का रिपोर्ट कहता है। हमारी सरकार ने इन कमियों को दूर किया है और आत्मनिर्भर भारत और आज सेना के साजो सामान में हम लगभग आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं। तो इस कार्य के लिए भी हमारी सरकार को पैसे की और आवश्यकता है। पहले की आवश्यकता में हमने 45,392 करोड़ रुपए का प्रावधान इस अनुपूरक बजट के माध्यम से करने का काम किया। साजो सामान में हम लगभग आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं। अगर हम हमारी सरकार को अगर हम स्वास्थ्य और परिवार कल्याण की बात करें, स्वास्थ्य और परिवार कल्याण की बात करें, स्वास्थ्य और परिवार कल्याण अभी प्रश्नकाल में महोदय एक माननीय सदस्य ढोलकिया साहब का बयान, एक प्रश्न था कि सबों को सर्व सुलभ स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा का एक इंश्योरेंस बीमा होना चाहिए। सरकार ने जवाब दिया, बहुत अच्छा जवाब भी आया। हम सरकार को धन्यवाद देते हैं कि 100% हेल्थ सिक्योरिटी के लिए, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस के लिए उसका सबसे बड़ा योजना आयुष्मान भारत लाने का काम किया है और आज देश के 40% लोग इस हेल्थ बीमा से भी कवर हो गए। तो ये सरकार इस योजना को भी आगे बढ़ाना चाहती है। हम एम्स बना रहे हैं, तरह तरह हर एक राज्यों बना रहे हैं। तो ऐसे के लिए भी हम फंड का व्यवस्था है। इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा निधि के तहत हम इसमें पैसे का प्रबंध कर रहे हैं और 10,000 करोड़ रुपए का इसमें भी प्रावधान किया। तो हमारी सरकार सब कुछ कर रही है, दाएं भी बाएं भी ऊपर भी नीचे भी, सभी तरफ विकास की गंगा बहा रही है। ऐसी सरकार ने हमारे अनुपूरक बजट पेश किया है, हम इसका जोरदार समर्थन करते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
श्रीमान रामचंद्र जांगरा जी।
इसमें भी प्रावधान किया तो हमारी सरकार।
धन्यवाद मान्यवर, इस अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल के ऊपर मुझे बोलने का आपने मौका दिया है, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
हम इसका जोरदार समर्थन करते हैं, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
प्लीज
मान्यवर, और अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल के ऊपर सदन में जो चर्चा होती है इसमें मुख्य रूप से यही देखना होता है
प्लीज
कि जो अनुदान मांगे हैं,
माननीय जांगरा जी प्लीज,
जो धन सरकार से लिया जा रहा है उस धन का प्रयोग क्या होगा, किन किन विषयों के ऊपर होगा, राष्ट्र के लिए वो कितने हितकारी होंगे, इसके ऊपर सारी चर्चा होती है। यही देखना होता है। जैसा शुक्ला जी बोल रहे थे, चर्चा के बाद विधेयक हमें लौटाना ही होता है, ये क्या आम प्रक्रिया है। लेकिन मान्यवर, सरकार से लिया जा रहा है उसका मूल उद्देश्य क्या है, सारी मांगों का, वो सारी चर्चा सदन के अंदर होती है और काफी हो चुकी है। मैं उन विषय के ऊपर दोबारा नहीं कहना चाहता। आंकड़े काफी मेरे बोलने से पूर्व जितने भी हमारे माननीय सांसद बोले हैं, आंकड़े सबने रखे हैं। मान्यवर, मैं इतिहास की कुछ ऐसा बात करना चाहता हूँ। ये देश सोने की चिड़िया रहा है। देश में गौरी आए, गजनी आए, लाखों टन सोना चांदी भी लूट के ले गए, फिर ये देश सोने की चिड़िया बना रहा। अंग्रेजी कालखंड में जो देश का शोषण हुआ और जिस तरह से देश को लूटा गया, ये देश सोने की चिड़िया रहा। 1947 के आजादी तक देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को पूरी तरह से अंग्रेजों ने निचोड़ लिया। लेकिन सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि आजादी के बाद वो कैसी योजनाएं बननी चाहिए थी कालखंड में जो ताकि देश दोबारा सोने की चिड़िया बन जाए। जिस तरह से देश को लूटा गया, मान्यवर, अगर हम भौगोलिक स्थिति देखेंगे देश की, दुनिया में कोई भी देश ऐसा नहीं है जिसके पूरे उत्तरी लेकिन ध्रुव की तरफ पर्वतीय श्रृंखला हो और दक्षिण में समुद्र हो। वो कैसी योजनाएं पर्वतों से बर्फ पिघल के वहां से बर्फ का पानी आते 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 और पूरे देश को सींचता हुआ दक्षिण में समुद्रों में चला जाता है। ऐसी भौगोलिक स्थिति दुनिया में किसी देश की नहीं है जो भारतवर्ष की उत्तरी। मान्यवर, कितना समय मैं बोल सकता?
बस जितना जल्द आप कंक्लूड कर सके, बल्कि कंक्लूडिंग लाइन हो तो और बेहतर।
चलिए मान्यवर, अभी 7 मिनट दिखा रहे हैं, बोल लो।
नहीं, आप जितना जल्द खत्म करें अनुरोध ये होगा।
चलिए ठीक है। तो मैं ये बात का उल्लेख कर रहा था कि देश में आज़ादी के बाद नवाचार के ऊपर क्या होना चाहिए था। देश की जो मूल रूप से एग्रीकल्चर जिसको हम कहते हैं, कृषि के ऊपर क्या होना चाहिए था, शिक्षा के ऊपर क्या होना चाहिए था, वो सारी चीज़ें देखने को जब इतिहास की पूरी समीक्षा करेंगे तो कई बार हम देखते हैं कि 2 बोरी सीमेंट लेने के लिए भी बीडीओ ऑफिस से एक परमिट लेना पड़ता था 2 बोरी सीमेंट के लिए। अगर वो व्यवस्था इस देश में चलती रहती तो ये देश में इतना बड़ा मेट्रो, इतना बड़ा नेटवर्क, इतने बड़े पुल, इतना बड़ा कुछ बन पाता अगर वो व्यवस्था चलती रहती तो। मानिए गैस सिलेंडरों की बड़ी चर्चा हो रही थी। हमने देखा है घर में जब कांग्रेस का काल था तो बूढ़ा आदमी थोड़ा यूं दिखाई दे, इसको फुर्सत है कि माँ आज सिलेंडर की पर्ची कटवा लेना, सिलेंडर खत्म हो रहा है। और वो लाइन ऐसे चलती थी, 2 पर्ची मेन खिड़की से कटती थी तो 4 पर्ची पीछे ब्लैक की कटती थी। वो धीरे 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 लाइन ऐसी चलती थी जैसे पुराने जमाने में लड़कियां फेरों के ऊपर चलती थी, धीरे 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 धीरे। तो जब तक खिड़की तक पहुंचती बेचारी बुढ़िया तब तक शटर डाउन हो जाता था, ताई आज तो खत्म होगी और फिर आ जाना। ये स्थिति थी हमारे देश के अंदर। तो 17 करोड़ उज्ज्वला योजना और अन्य योजनाओं में कनेक्शन देने के बाद भी अब ये थोड़ी सी इस वार की वजह से ये आई है, वरना टेलीफोन करो और घर में सिलेंडर उपलब्ध है। ये व्यवस्था कांग्रेस आते ही ब्लैक, कांग्रेस जाते ही खुला सब कुछ। ये व्यवस्था कैसे हुई? तो मान्यवर, क्योंकि समय कम है, मैं इतना कहना चाहूँगा, तमाम सदस्यों ने अनुदान मांगों के ऊपर, अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल के ऊपर अपना समर्थन दिया है, तो मैं भी इसका समर्थन करते हुए अपनी बात को विराम देता हूँ।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय झांगड़ा जी। माननीय श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी टू रिप्लाई द डिस्कशन।
Sir, thank you very much, sir. The discussion on the supplementary demand for grants, sir, has been going on since yesterday. A lot of members have spoken on more on the budget per se, which is going to come from 1st April 2026, and I would think less on the supplementary demand for grants. So, without spending much time on points which are already answered in my budget reply, I will focus on those points on which many members have spoken on the supplementary demand. This has been extensively debated in the Lok Sabha. Here too, members have raised a few questions on it, so I'll focus largely on that, except of course highlighting the features of this current supplementary, which is the second one for this year, that it involves 61 grants and also a gross expenditure of about 2.81 lakh through all three, cash, technical and token supplementaries. So I'm not getting into the details of those in much of a specific detail. I highlight that we have given 57,381.84 crores for Economic Stabilization Fund, And then for defense services, about 41,430 crores, essentially because we are paying the spectrum charges, which in any way will come back to the CFI, and also for the ex-servicemen contributory health scheme, for which we are giving 6,140 crores, which will benefit the ex-servicemen in their health requirements. So transfer to states is the other head which I'd like to again draw the attention of the honorable members. 37,886 crores as recommended by 15th Finance Commission, where local body grants go after the meeting of conditions by the state governments. It can be election related or any other. Health grants similarly, and also for UTs and UTs with legislature on SASKI and also the back-to-back loans. Fertilizer subsidy, sir, is 19,230. I want to draw the attention of the Honorable House because this is only to meet additional requirements with the circumstances being what it is externally. This is for meeting any exigencies that may arise, 19,230 crores, particularly for getting ready for importing fertilizer for the aane wale Rabi crop. For the current Kharif, we are well equipped, we have enough of fertilizer, but from now onwards, they start bidding globally and procuring for the winter, that is November, December onwards, Rabi. For that, we are giving in advance now itself. And 5,000 crore is being given to Jammu Kashmir as central assistance to meet their developmental requirements. MSMEs always have a problem of enough credit reaching them. So through SIDBI, we are giving a 3,000 crore so that MSMEs don't suffer for want of credit. So the last one which I'd like to highlight is a token supplementary which is being given, but a sum of 30,000 crores is being made available from to the Employment Guarantee Fund, Manrega, for all those earlier dues. So that's being provided now, and from 1st April, the G bill, which gets the 95,000 allocation, which was announced at the time of the bill passing itself. So states which have had dues on Manrega, which were questioning whether this money will be available, that money is being provided. So I straight go to talking or referring to honorable members who questioned or asked their concerns on the developing situation. I'd like to highlight the fact that India's economy today stands at a position of strength. We are able to look after even unforeseen circumstances. And just a word on how it has been managed, because it's important for us to understand that since COVID, India's macroeconomic performance has remained relatively strong and stable. And despite every year coming up with newer problems, we have managed the economy so that there are no severe shocks domestically. We faced COVID, then supply chain disruptions, Russia-Ukraine war, global inflation surge due to stimulus which has been given rampantly, debt crisis which emerged in the emerging markets particularly, trade wars, deglobalization trends, climate shocks, one after the other. And despite all that, we are able to maintain balance within our economy. And now the Middle East crisis has also come up with newer challenge. So, मैं सभी मेंबर्स के लिए ये बात बोलना चाह रही हूँ, जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी आत्मनिर्भर भारत का एकदम सभी सेगमेंट्स में आत्मनिर्भर भारत का विषय उठाए और पॉलिसीज भी ऐसे प्लान किए कि हम हमारी बेसिक नेसेसिटीज को क्यों ना उत्पादन भारत में ही करें, इसके प्रभाव के कारण we are able to stand up and meet crisis like situation in some segments of our economy. whilst I go further, I'll expand on that a bit more. So the position of Indian economy is what gives us the strength to meet these unforeseen problems. And together with this, the central government's capital outlay has increased 4.2 times from 2.63 lakh crores in 2017-18 to 12.20 lakh crores in 26-27. As a result, the pickup of the economy is happening because government is very clear that we are going to get the benefit out of the multiplier effect when you spend money on capital expenditure. So we've kept that absolutely going upwards, and that has really shown the benefit for the Indian economy to sustain the growth momentum. So a lot of members spoke about LPG crisis. How are we managing? Are we doing anything at all to manage it? The Petroleum Natural Gas Minister has spoken about it. I don't want to elaborate on it, but just to reassure, nearly 65% of all our LPG is imported, and overwhelmingly majority of it, 90% of the 65% comes from Strait of Hormuz. And as a result, there are speculations about will we get it, will we not. But there are enough and more reports in the public domain as to how we are ensuring steady flow even in these turbulent times. So, but we are not just depending on getting the steady flow even in troubled waters. The way in which we have built our power sector today stands as a very big support for us, because Atmanirbhar Bharat and sufficiency in energy through our power sector is actually playing out in very many different ways in supporting us. The installed generation capacity has more than doubled since 2014. There are no energy shortages now. You may think that when I'm talking about LPG, why should I bring this point? It is important for us to understand, sir. Similarly, even in energy, gas LPG sector, we have been building up capacities, and even at this time, the way in which we have ramped up domestic capacity in LPG is also coming of help now. On 8th March 2026, just 2 weeks ago, the government directed refineries and petrochemical complexes to maximize LPG production by diverting propane, butane, and propylene and butane's streams to the LPG pool. As a result, domestically also, we are ramping up capacities to supply LPG, and domestic LPG production going up about 25% approximately. The entire output of this ramped up capacity is going for domestic consumers. So to ensure that households don't suffer, not only are we ensuring steady streams of the shipping lines coming in, but domestically also we've ramped up capacity for production of LPG, diverting from production of other hydrocarbon materials to LPG production. And as a result, domestic supplies will be adequately streamlined, and the supplies will remain steady. This is also because we have this Atmanirbharta governing every sector, not just electricity production, but also LPG production. So the ability to ramp up LPG, domestic LPG production by 25%, literally overnight, and the availability of alternative energy sources, the reduced share of fossil fuels in the overall energy mix, these have not happened by an accident. A steady policy backed up approach by Government of India has actually resulted in us being able to suddenly improve on something so that any situation which requires that additional support can happen. So this Atmanirbhar Bharat has actually been done in various segments that today all of them are standing by us. So it is an outcome of a deliberate, decade-long energy transition strategy launched by Honorable Prime Minister even in 2014. I just want to say nothing is a standalone. Everything in this policy seems to come together. In the name of Atmanirbhar, we are able to build up and meet up emergency situations. Sir, it won't be inappropriate for me to add up also to say how our electricity production is, as per Atmanirbhar Bharat, going ahead of schedule. By January 2026, sir, total installed capacity has more than doubled to 520.5 gigawatts. Non-fossil sources now stand at 271.97 gigawatts, accounting for more than 52% of total capacity and surpassing fossil fuel capacity of 248.5 gigawatts. For the first time in India's history, non-fossil sources exceed fossil fuel capacity. It's a remarkable position to reach. Non-fossil capacity से ज़्यादा non-fossil fuel अभी fossil fuel से ज़्यादा capacity हमारे पास है. ये 5 साल ahead of schedule और 5 साल के बाद जो अचीव करना था डेडलाइन हम अभी ही अचीव कर दिए. And therefore, it's a very remarkable thing because all the more climate finance debates में विदेशों से पैसा आना चाहिए, पैसा के लिए मांग होता है, विदेश से पैसा नहीं आया इसीलिए हम आगे बढ़ नहीं पा रहे, ऐसे बहुत सारे सुनने में आता है. मगर भारत देश में विदेश से पैसा आया है नहीं आया है इसको परवाह ना करते हुए वो चर्चा अलग है, हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. आज हम नॉन फॉसिल मतलब रिन्यूएबल ज्यादा प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं फॉसिल फ्यूल से कंपेयर करते हुए. इसीलिए हमारे ये 5 साल पहले की ही ये अचीवमेंट हम सब ध्यान में लेना चाहिए और हमारे देश के लिए ये सराहनीय काम है. पूरे देश इसमें भाग ले रहा है, इसका हम सांसद के नाते वी शुड बी एबल टू अप्रिशिएट इट. पर्टिकुलरली 2025 सर, हाईएस्ट एवर रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी एक्सपेंशन भारत देश में हुआ है. Record 44.51 gigawatt of renewable capacity was added during the year only till November. I'm not even talking about December, January. Within November, we have added 44.51 gigawatts, nearly doubling the 24.72 gigawatt capacity that was added during the same period in the previous year. So double the capacity हम बढ़ा रहे हैं, इस स्पीड में हम जा रहे हैं. और as per the IRENA renewable energy statistics, sir, which was released in 2025, India ranks 3rd in solar power installed capacity. दुनिया में सबसे 3rd position में भारत देश है और wind power में 4th position में है and 4th position also in total renewable energy capacity. ये हमारी ही अपना मेहनत में, हमारी अपना पैसा के साथ 5 साल पहले ये अचीवमेंट हम हमारे देश का आत्मनिर्भरता बढ़ाने में कैसे आगे आया है, इसका एक चित्र है. और कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन के वजह से पर कैपिटा और पर यूनिट कॉस्ट भी कम हो रहा है. मैं सिर्फ डेटा आपके सामने रखना चाहती हूँ. नेशनल सोलर मिशन 2010 में फर्स्ट टाइम टेंडरिंग हुआ है फर्स्ट सोलर प्रोजेक्ट्स का. एवरेज टैरिफ उस समय 12.16 पर किलोवाट रुपी 12.16 पर kWh था सर. By 2014 it has fallen to 6.17 per kWh kilowatt. Today solar power costs only 2.15 per unit sir. 89% decline in cost. ज़्यादा कंपटीशन, ज़्यादा पार्टिसिपेशन के कारण आज सोलर पावर भारत देश में पूरे दुनिया को कंपेयर करते हुए सबसे लोवेस्ट रेट को हम पहुंचे हैं. 89% decline from 2010 when the first tendering happened till today. बैटरी स्टोरेज में भी हमारे कॉस्ट 2.70 पर यूनिट में है. सो सस्ते भी हो रही हैं रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के द्वारा हमारी पावर. So I'm not going through various steps which have been taken for want of time. Suryagar Muft Bijli Yojana has made a lot of different 1 crore household तक हम इंस्टॉल करने के लिए मेहनत कर रहे हैं. 2 years के अंदर 55.62 lakh applications have been received. 21.43 lakh households have installed rooftop solar systems, and government has disbursed more than 14,771 crore as subsidy. So इसका प्रमोट करने के लिए भी सरकार भी अधिक से अधिक सब्सिडी डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रही है. A similar picture can be obtained, sir, about our economy, because this is important to understand where the strength of Bharat comes from, and self-sufficiency in these areas is providing us the confidence. India has achieved its nationally determined contribution, sir, of the target of 50% cumulative non-fossil electric capacity, nearly 5 years ahead, as I said. So all with our own resources. Non-fossil capacity 2014 में 32% था, अभी 52.57% as of February 2026. सर, क्योंकि इकोनॉमी के ऊपर बहुत प्रश्न उठाया, मैं एक विषय बोलना चाह रही हूँ थोड़ा विस्तार से. आजकल चर्चा हो रही है और एक्सपर्ट्स, इकोनॉमी को ऑब्जर्व करने वाले एक्सपर्ट्स बोलते हैं कि न्यू डेटा सीरीज आ गए, जीडीपी न्यू सीरीज, एंड आफ्टर द न्यू सीरीज हैज कम द स्टडी ऑफ द जीडीपी ग्रोथ. सम पीपल डू से दैट व्हाट्स बीइंग सेड नाउ probably is not it, it will be probably lesser than what is being given now. And whereas earlier times, the growth which was being shown as GDP growth will probably have to be higher than what it was, even bettering what has been given to us all this while. So for a minute, that is between 2004-5 to 2011-12, the growth numbers about which we often hear, it was very good, you have not matched it till now. I'm taking this opportunity to, for a minute, assume that it was better, sir. I want to highlight a few things to say, even with the new GDP series, even if with some few economists observing that the GDP growth would have been better, even then, given the numbers, the number would be better, given the new methodology and so on. I want to highlight, sir, the massive hidden borrowing programs of the UPA then can never be forgotten, sir. Why am I remembering that now? Because many of the borrowings of those days are being cleared by us now. Of course, borrowing by one government will have to be cleared later, but they were not shown in the budget. Had they only shown it in their budget, their fiscal deficit numbers would have been completely different. The growth projection numbers and then later on the real growth figures which have been shown also wouldn't have been that much if only their budget processing were transparent. If many of the extra borrowing, budgetary borrowings, had been shown then rather than showing it in something else. The context in which I'm saying this is only recently, in fact this month, we would be clearing up all the oil bonds which were issued by the UPA government. Had that been done then itself in your budget, even with the new growth series resulting in a higher number for that period, for everybody to speak about that time was better, you have not reached that. No, that time was made to appear better because many of their borrowing had not been shown in their books. It was shown in somebody else's books. I'll give you the data, sir. Between 2004 and 5, and 2009 and 10, 2004-5 to 9-10. UPA government had issued oil bonds to the oil marketing companies amounting to 1.48 lakh crores in lieu of the cash subsidy on petroleum products. They didn't show it in their budget. These were off budget. The bonds carried 7 to 8.4% interest rates. As a result, the fiscal deficit during those years would have been significantly higher than the reported numbers had they only shown it. Assuming the UPA included various off-budget borrowings, oil bonds, Food Corporation of India, fertilizer bonds, if they had all shown it in their budget during that period, in 2008-9, the fiscal deficit would actually be at 7.9% rather than 6.1%, which they had shown of the GDP shown officially. They showed 6.1, but had they only shown these three, minimum three that I'm talking about, oil bonds, FCI, and also the fertilizer, had they shown it in their budget, their deficit would have been 7.9. Similarly, the revenue deficit would have been 6.3% in reality rather than the 4.6% that they showed. So they showed it all rosy, and now there are some of their own sympathizers looking at data and saying, no, it would have been better. I would suggest to these economists who are trying to whitewash that number then, please reconcile with the three bonds which were issued, off-budget borrowings which were issued. So the economy today, sir, is far better than the rosy days which were being shown, because the whitewashing of the accounts, whitewashing of the budget with all the extra budgetary borrowing in somebody else's books. We don't, under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, do any of these hanky-pankies. Our budget is absolutely, it says what it says. And therefore, the growth numbers, even with the new, would be what it is now as it is being shown, rather than what it has been claimed like the earlier ones. So I want to make this absolutely clear. And the context in which I'm bringing this in this supplementary demand for grants discussion is because in 2014 we inherited 1.34 lakh crore as these oil bond related borrowings which were kept outside. The total interest paid on these bonds since 2007-8 is close to 1.7 lakh crores. By March 2026, मतलब अब के समय मार्च महीना में हम बात कर रहे हैं, our government has fully repaid the entire oil bond burden, a staggering 2.92 lakh crore in total, which is principal and interest. Imagine, sir, if this money was not spent on this, it would have gone for building India's future. Cleaning up of UPA's mess, fiscal mess, has taken this away. Otherwise, we could have built more ports, more roads, given more hospitals, given more schools. I want to underline this fact only because even in the supplementary demand for grants, when I'm anticipating, in case we need more money, we bring in something as a fund, honorable members, some of them, particularly members Shakti Singh Gohil, questioned as to why there is a need to bring this. If only we managed our economy better. We managed not just our economy, but also the borrowing of the UPA government. And do I say this from a position of strength? Yes, I'm saying from a position of strength. Because during COVID, our fiscal deficit crossed 9%. But within 5 years, under Prime Minister Modi's guidance, we have brought that down to 4.4. Within 5 years, we are showing that. Whereas what you have shown is keeping everything outside of budget and leaving it to somebody else to pay it. And when the payment is happening by that somebody else or some other government, you even question that. You did something wrong. We, with transparent processes, are showing it. And you question that? Sir, another example. The twin balance sheet, the fragile five economy, were all as a result of the way in which the economy, the banks were treated. Our fiscal headline numbers would have been healthier, sir, if we hadn't been burdened by that sin. UPA left behind, as I said, 2.92 lakh crores in oil bond, and the broken economy, the banking system. I told you about the oil bonds, which we cleared now. I'm now telling you about the broken banking system, which required 2.8 lakh crores for recapitalization. The health of the banks today is that they are paying returns to the government, and with that money we are able to do more meaningful welfare projects. But when you left in 14, you left the banks in such a fragile situation that I had to give 2.8 lakh crores for recapitalizing them. If that money was available, my fiscal deficit would have been better. Then you can showcase what my fiscal deficit was and compare it with yours. You have pushed everything under the carpet and say you never will match that period. Your growth is not good enough now. If I do those sort of things, it will be 3 times better, sir. We don't do any of that. So the answer to Manya Member Shakti Singh Goyalji is the proposed economic stabilization fund will provide fiscal headroom to allow India. How am I able to do? Having created the fiscal headroom, I'm able to allow India to respond to the global headwinds such as the recent crisis. We are able to mobilize that, mop up that kind of money because the headroom is available. Imagine in 2014, would I have had the comfort? No, because I'm recapitalizing bank, I'm paying loans, I'm doing lifting of the economy from where they have left the fragile five. So, economy today, sir, is a totally different thing. Its profiles, its strengths will have to be understood before questioning on things where I'm giving complete explanation. Similar was Honorable Member Wilson, a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, talking about cesses getting diverted. No, sir, cesses are not getting diverted. Total allocation, I will just highlight the fact that annual average expenditure by the Ministry of Education has increased from 41,000 crores during period 2004 to 14. It has now gone to 93,000 crore during 14-15 to 26-27. Where is 41,000 crore, sir, and where is 93,000 crore? The annual average expenditure is more than double the expenditure during UPA period. I'll get into the detail. 26-27 is about 1.39 lakh crore, which is about 8% higher and 14% higher than its total BE of 25-26, which was 1.29 lakh crore and RE was 1.22 lakh crore. Health, similarly, total collection is estimated at 7.03 lakh crore. Against this collection, between 2014 to 26-27. Against this collection, sir, total utilization for health is about 7.77 lakh crore. 7.03 collected, 7.77 lakh crore spent on health. During this period, additional funds of 74,000 crores were allocated for health and education, other than the collection of the cesses. Even in this supplementary, sir, an amount of 11,627 crore is being transferred to Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Nidhi to meet expenditure under National Health Mission. So there is no diversion at all. If anything, we are spending more than what we are collecting in the name of cess. There are more such examples for other cess figures. I'm not getting into the detail. Social welfare budget, sir. 62,362 crores in 26-27 compared to 60,000 52 crores in 25-26. There is no reduction. On the contrary, it's gone up. Rural development, sir. 2.73 lakh crore compared to 2.66 lakh crores in 25-26. Health budget I've already mentioned. Centrally sponsored schemes through which the monies go to the states. In 26-27, 5.49 lakh crores compared to 5.42 lakh crores in 25-26. So under every scheme, the money is increasing rather than coming down. So again, on Jal Jeevan Mission, there were few questions, again by Mr. Wilson and also by Shakti Singh Gohil ji. 67,670 crores are being allocated for Jal Jeevan Mission in 26-27 budget, sir. Earlier it was only 67,000 crores. So the amount is increasing. In fact, on 10th March 2026, the cabinet approved enhancement of outlay to 8.69 lakh crores in total, and the scheme has been extended till 28 December. So the central assistance of 3.59 lakh crore is enhancing from 2.08 lakh crores, which was approved originally in 2019-20. So actually, the amount in Jal Jeevan Mission is also enhanced, and the time is extended for completing the project. So Professor Manoj Kumar Jha is not here. He had asked a few questions about the gig workers. I want to say the labor code which has been introduced, it provides for framing of suitable welfare schemes for gig workers. In fact, it provides for setting up of a social security fund for gig workers. And in budget 25-26 also, I have spoken about how gig workers and platforms using the unique identity cards can streamline their registration in the e-Shram portal and also give them the safety net for 1 crore gig workers. Santosh Kumarji, who spoke about Manrega, is not here. I've already explained, sir, that in this supplementary also we're giving for Manrega old claims. So as I spoke about the oil bonds, then I spoke about the banks, then also about the way in which subsidies have been given, the banks have been given capitalization. I want to highlight, because Honorable Member Shakti Singh Gohil spent considerable time talking about how we are not supporting BSNL, and we have restricted the BSNL because of Atmanirbhar policy and making them to use only Indian-made products, whereas that has not been a compulsion for private operators. Sir, using Indian products is not a compulsion. It's actually a good thing, because the BSNL was given money for developing 4G technologies. They've come out successfully and therefore they are using it. 4G develop करने के लिए हमारी सरकार के द्वारा पैसा अब मतलब 5 साल पहले उनको मिला और वो डेवलप भी किए हैं, मगर 4G इस देश में कब आया सर? प्राइवेट सेक्टर सब इंट्रोड्यूस किए, मगर BSNL को 4G डेवलप करने के लिए प्रोत्साहन या पैसा यूपीए गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं दिया। उसके कारण हम देना पड़ रहा हमारे हाथों से। और 4G लोकल इंडिजिनस क्यों रिस्ट्रिक्ट करें? वो सब आगे बढ़ चुके हैं। बाद में आकर के जब हम दे रहे, हमारे पास हमारी अपने टेक्नोलॉजी अगर अवेलेबल है, उसमें यूज करने से क्या इतराज है? जब हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी अवेलेबल है फिर भी इंपोर्ट करना है, किसी और का टेक्नोलॉजी उपयोग करना है, क्यों आपके समय में उनको दिया नहीं है वो सपोर्ट? मैं ऐसे वैसे नहीं बोल रही हूं, स्पेसिफिकली मैं बोलती हूं कि यूपीए कैसे BSNL को वंचित कर रखा था, उसका डिटेल मैं देने वाली हूं। सर, BSNL आज आई एम हैप्पी टू से इज डूइंग वेल ऑन इट्स ओन एंड मीटिंग न्यूअर टारगेट्स। मगर 2008 में मैं एक्चुअली आई एम वंडरिंग, if that agreement which was MOU which was signed with China had something to do with denying BSNL. I'm wondering. सीपीसी के साथ आप जाकर के MOU साइन किया, उसका विषय तो हमें मालूम नहीं है, मगर उसी समय से लेकर BSNL का हालात गंभीर होते हुए क्या उसका और इसका कुछ तालमेल है, कुछ लिंक है? स्पष्टीकरण करिए, क्योंकि तब से लेकर BSNL का हालात गंभीर होते गए, BSNL का कुछ भी नहीं सपोर्ट दिया गया उस समय से. So I would like to ask, क्या, what was it? Did you want to import the foreign technology and equipments? क्योंकि उस समय से लगातार फॉरेन इक्विपमेंट्स आ रहा है इस देश में टेलीकॉम का. मैं कंपनीज का नाम लेना नहीं चाहती हूं, लगातार आया, उसका कंट्रोल कुछ नहीं था, और BSNL literally struggling to survive against this flooding through imports. उस समय कोई कुछ सपोर्ट नहीं था. मैं लिस्ट कर रही हूं. यूपीए सरकार ने लाइसेंस फी रीइंबर्समेंट करने से इनकार किया. दे स्टॉप्ड द लाइसेंस फी रीइंबर्समेंट फ्रॉम 2005-06. BSNL paid 37,513 crores towards license fees and spectrum usage charge, but was reimbursed only 9,249 crore, and that too only till 2005-06. After that, the UPA simply stopped paying BSNL. आज BSNL का विषय में इतना घरियाली आंसू. Second, sir, forced BSNL MTNL to overpay for 3G and BWA spectrum in 2009-10. मैं facts बोल रही हूं sir. MTNL was made to pay 11,098 crore, matching the highest auction price. सरकारी है, मगर ऑक्शन में हाईएस्ट प्राइस जो हुआ उसको वो देना. Over 20 times the reserve price of 320 crore. BSNL, MTNL का एक एक करके death knell, thrashing them. हाँ, overnight, MTNL, literally overnight, after paying this amount, MTNL went from cash-rich company to debt-ridden one. उसका उस समय ध्यान देने वाले कोई नहीं थे, मगर आज जब BSNL उठकर पैदल और रन करने के लिए कगार में आ गए, हमें क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं. Overnight, they became debt-ridden. BSNL similarly paid 18,499 crore, eroding its entire cash reserve. ये क्यों हो रहा है सर? उस समय क्यों हुआ? किस फोर्सेस आपके पीछे थे कि BSNL को खत्म कर दो करने के लिए? ये क्या है? तीसरी, allotted inferior spectrum. आज 4G indigenously developed good thing which is coming out, उसको क्यों बंधन के रूप में BSNL के ऊपर डाल रही हो? ये था ना प्रश्न सर. Allotted inferior, UPA गवर्नमेंट ने inferior spectrum band 2.5-2.6 gigahertz to BSNL and MTNL, while private operators got the commercially viable 2.3-2.4 gigahertz band. उस समय प्राइवेट को सपोर्ट करके BSNL को मार करके अब आकर के BSNL को हाथ पैर क्यों टाई अप कर रही हो? ऐसे प्रश्न शक्ति सिंह जी पूछ रहे हैं. आप वही किया उस समय, प्राइवेट को अच्छा बैंड दिया और BSNL को खराब बैंड दिए. वही बात बोलिए जी, ये कहां की लॉजिक है सर? जब आप करते हो गलत, उस समय कोई उसके ऊपर टिप्पणी नहीं है, दया नहीं है BSNL के ऊपर. हम जब हमारे अपना अच्छा 4G बैंड ले आ रहे हैं, उसको जब BSNL खरीदता है, you have a problem. With such deception for BSNL, denied UPA, denied financial support for employee restructuring. Employee का भी restructuring करने में वो तैयार नहीं थे. Cabinet postponed it till February 2014. उनके समय पर कोई कुछ नहीं हुआ. Proposal for long-term loans at 1% interest, to reduce employee expenses was supported by the group of ministers. Even then, the Ministry of Finance also supported at that time. But till 2014 February, they didn't even want to take a call on it. Denied mandatory use of BSNL MTNL services by government departments and CPSE. इतना BSNL के लिए मन जब तड़प रहा है, दिल जब तड़प रहा है, डिपार्टमेंट, सरकारी डिपार्टमेंट में BSNL उपयोग करने का कोई आदेश नहीं था. हम बोल रहे हैं, हमारी तरफ से हमारी सरकार बोल रही है, हर डिपार्टमेंट में BSNL उपयोग करो, वायर भी और वायरलेस भी. वेरस उस समय वो नहीं हुआ. दूसरा, sabotaged BSNL network expansion. नेटवर्क एक्सपेंशन करने के लिए आदेश मिला नहीं था. BSNL's 2006 tender, sir, for 45.5 million GSM lines were delayed, then curtailed to 14.5 million. उनका capacity को कम करते आ रहे हैं. 2008 mega tender for 93 million lines, the largest in the world, was cancelled in 2010. कैंसल कर रही हो आप और ऊपर से हमें प्रश्न पूछ रही हो BSNL के ऊपर में. हाँ? And who was the one who recommended that cancelling of the tender, sir? Pitroda committee's recommendation. गुरुजी है वो, पार्टी का गुरुजी है, उनके पार्टी के गुरुजी बोल रहा है कि BSNL को खत्म करो. मान लिया.
पार्टी ने जिसको खत्म करने का बोला, आपने जिंदा कर दिया, तकलीफ तो होगा ना सर.
हाँ बिल्कुल सर. BSNL मार्केट शेयर क्या हुआ? 2005 में 19% था, 2014 तक वो 10.5% तक पहुंच गया और 2015 तक वो 7.96% तक पहुंचे. ये है सर डैमेज. तब का डैमेज धीरे 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 होकर के उनका मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन ही गिर गए. सो इतने के बावजूद भी हमारे गवर्नमेंट आने के बाद 3 times रिवाइवल पैकेज दिया गया है, टोटलिंग 3.22 लाख करोड़. सो ऑयल बॉन्ड हो गए, इकोनॉमी फ्रजाइल 5 हो गए, बैंक का रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग के लिए, रिकैपिटलाइजेशन करने के लिए हमें पैसा देना पड़ रहा. हर एक छोटा अमाउंट नहीं है, 3 लाख करोड़, 4 लाख, अभी ये भी, फर्टिलाइजर भी. सो इकोनॉमी को प्लान्ड तरीके से जहां जहां वीकनेस करना है वहां वहां वीकनेस करके चले गए. उन सब का पेमेंट हम कर रहे हैं, मगर ये बोल रहे हैं कि जीडीपी ग्रोथ आपका कैसे है, फिस्कल डेफिसिट कैसे है, आपका ऋण हम चुका रहे हैं भाई. सो स्पेक्ट्रम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिवली असाइंड, सर, हमारी सरकार आने के बाद 700 मेगाहर्ट्ज, 800 मेगाहर्ट्ज, 1800 megahertz, 2100 megahertz, 2500 megahertz, 3300 megahertz, सब 4G और 5G के लिए at auction determined prices हम उनको दे रहे हैं BSNL को. So mandatory use of BSNL in all ministries, all departments has happened because of an office memorandum we issued. So BSNL के ऊपर माफ करना शक्ति सिंह गोहिल जी, आप बहुत वरिष्ठ है, सीनियर है, and we have been together even in my days as an official spokesperson of the party. But BSNL के ऊपर आपके हर वर्ड गलत है. मैं I'm sorry to say, if anything, UPS killed BSNL and went away. जान का कतरे में ICU में जो BSNL था उसको हम उठा करके इतना दूर तक ले आए. आज BSNL Union Cabinet, sir, approved the revival package of BSNL. Capital infusion between 22 and 23 stands at 2.26 lakh crore. Includes allocation of spectrum, capital expenditure on infrastructure, AGR dues, restructuring of PSU, सब हुआ है. So मैं breakdown भी दे सकती हूँ कितना किसके लिए गया BSNL के लिए. So Make in India mandate on BSNL is a strength and it's not a restriction. Yeah, I want to say it on the table because BSNL के ऊपर क्यों restriction है? कोई restriction नहीं है. Or BSNL has recently, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, has placed a purchasing order of 1 lakh indigenously developed 4G sites for pan-India deployment. That is what a company should be like, which is dealing with telecommunications. On 28th February 2026, 97,906 sites have been installed with 4G equipments, and 96,103 of this 97,000 is already operational. So, BSNL since 2014 has added 13,750 2G base transceiver stations, 39,700 3G BTS, and 1.3 lakh 4G BTS have all been brought in. So, BharatNet program is also giving strength for BSNL. 1.39 lakh crore has been approved to take optical fibers to all the villages. Sir, with just one or two more, I'll finish, sir. I'm sorry, you've been very indulgent. You've given me the time to explain a few things. I can't see the member here, but it is worth mentioning, sir. Honorable Member Priyanka Chaturvedi is not here, but I'm sorry, I wish the Honorable Member is a bit more responsible with her facts, particularly the numbers that she's quoted. She said appropriation bill was introduced at 3:01 p.m. in the Lok Sabha and passed within 3 minutes. I'm astonished, sir. Appropriation bill was introduced at 3:01 p.m. and passed within 3 minutes. I'm sorry, honorable members should know. She's not probably taken into consideration. Lok Sabha debated supplementary demands for grants for 5 hours, 31 minutes. That is over 2 days. Allotted time was only 4 hours, but they did this for 5 hours and 31 minutes. Now, after having debated that, the appropriation bill is taken and it gets passed in 1 or 2, 3, 4 minutes. That doesn't mean there was no charcha. 5 hours of charcha happened. I'm sorry, Honorable Member Priyanka Chaturvedi, please, you should be careful with your numbers. AIB. In fact, just to give her a consolation, her party member Anil Desai spoke on the debate. They participated, and many of their alliance partners also participated. So the appropriation bill authorizing these demands was passed after that. It's a process. Sir, again, Saket Gokhale, Honorable Member, and Priyanka Chaturvedi, on the Economic Stabilization Fund. It's a very important thing, so I'm taking a minute over it, sir. They said, they contrasted with contingency fund and the Economic Stabilization Fund. They said, why did you have to bring the Economic Stabilization Fund? You could have done it through contingency fund, which exists already. You're only bypassing parliament scrutiny. So I want to, in this excuse, want to say this for the benefit of all members, sir. Article 267 of the Constitution allows for contingency fund, and that has to be understood. The contingency fund should be understood. The corpus of the contingency fund was maintained at 500 crores from the year 2005-06 till 2020-2021. It was in 2021-22, during the COVID crisis, that this corpus was increased from 500 crores to 30,000 crores. The fund is meant for purposes of meeting unforeseen expenditure, and which is of urgent nature. No appropriation is available and Parliament not in session, suppose, to provide necessary appropriation, contingency advances are given. For instance, the contingency advance is never given when the Parliament is in session. But after the session, if there is an emergency, we can't wait for the next Parliament session to happen. So through the contingency we give and come back to the Parliament to take appropriation. So it is given in such a scenario. For example, during this year, sir, I have sought the approval of the Parliament for recouping contingency fund advance of about 15,000 crore during the first supplementary and about 900 crore during this supplementary, which was given under the contingency fund. So it always, the disbursement happens because of the contingency arising, and then later we come for approval to the Parliament. That is contingency fund. Now, under Article 266(2), there are several public accounts kept. And one such an account is the one which we've now done, Economic Stabilization Fund. In this also, sir, we can give fund and then come for appropriation, or most often appropriation happens and only then we give it for the expenditure. So, Economic Stabilization Fund will be spent with the approval of the Parliament, and it will have complete legislative oversight. This is a fiscal buffer for providing fiscal headroom. So, if you contrast these two, contingency fund seeks approval of Parliament always post facto. It's a very important distinction, sir. Contingency fund always comes to the Parliament post facto, whereas Economic Stabilization Fund, we seek mostly approval beforehand itself. But of course, there can be one or two instances where we come later. So this has to be understood. There is no absence of transparency, and both are for meeting emergency situation. Sir, lastly, there was this question about ECHS, medical treatment which has to be given to the ex-servicemen. We have asked for the contingency also to provide us, and that is very important. Ex-servicemen are not being denied hospital treatment due to pending payments, but there are also issues with some of the hospitals for which the accounts are not transparently maintained. The ex-servicemen welfare department attends to that. There are answers that they have to give, explain as to some of the mismatches in the billing, and as a result, some of the payments may go late. But it is not because the government is holding back any of the funds. So thank you very much. I do not want to take more time, but I honestly wish and thank all the members who participated.
Thank you. The question is that the Appropriation Bill 2026 as passed by Lok Sabha be taken into consideration. Those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We shall now take up clause by clause consideration of the bill. Clauses 2